The dust rose in amber clouds as my truck pulled through the gates of the Shine Frontier Days arena. 5 years. It had been 5 years since I'd last set foot on professional rodeo grounds, and the familiar smell of dirt, leather, and livestock hit me like a punch to the gut, equal parts homecoming and heartbreak. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my calloused hands remembering the feel of braided reins and rope. At 32, I was older than most of the competitors who'd be running barrels this week, but age had only sharpened my determination. I was Cassidy Monroe, 3-time national champion barrel racer, and I'd left at my peak. Now I was back to prove that I still had what it took. You sure about this, Cass? My best friend Riley shifted in the passenger seat, his weathered face creased with concern. He'd been my traveling partner back in the day, a bull rider with more broken bones than sense. Never been more sure of anything, I lied. The truth was, I was terrified. Not of the competition. I'd trained harder these past 6 months than I had in my entire career. No, what scared me was facing her again. The woman who'd made me walk away from everything I'd ever loved. Dakota Hayes. Just thinking her name made my chest tight. She'd been my biggest rival, my fiercest competitor, and for one perfect summer, she'd been mine. Until she wasn't. Until I'd overheard her telling a reporter that what we had was just a distraction and that she'd never let anything get in the way of her championship dreams. I'd left the circuit the next day. Sold my horses, moved back to my family's ranch in Montana, and spent 5 years trying to forget the way her lips tasted like cinnamon and rebellion. Well, you're gonna have to face her eventually, Riley said, as if reading my mind. She's been the one to beat since you left. 4 consecutive championships, Cass. She's not the same cocky kid she was back then. Neither am I. I parked near the competitor trailers, and the familiar chaos of rodeo life unfolded around us. Cowboys and cowgirls moved between rigs, checking equipment, grooming horses, stretching out nerves and muscles. Somewhere in this crowd, she was here. I could feel it the way you feel a storm coming across the plains. My horse. Thunder, a powerful paint mare I'd spent 2 years training, stamped impatiently in the trailer. She could sense my anxiety, feed off it. I needed to calm down before I passed my nerves to her. Let me help you get settled, Riley offered. But I shook my head. I need to do this alone. He squeezed my shoulder once, understanding in his eyes, then headed toward the bull rider section. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the truck. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold, and for a moment I let myself remember why I'd loved this life so much. The camaraderie, the adrenaline, the pure joy of moving in perfect sync with 1,000 pounds of horse, racing against the clock and your own limitations. Cassidy Monroe. I'll be damned. The voice stopped me cold. Smooth as whiskey, with that hint of Texas drawl that had always made my name sound like poetry. I turned slowly, giving myself time to armor up my heart. Dakota Hayes stood 10 feet away, and God, she was even more beautiful than I remembered. 5 years had carved away any softness, leaving sharp cheekbones, sun-bronzed skin, and eyes the color of summer storms. Her dark hair was longer now, braided down her back, and her lean frame radiated the confidence of someone who'd been untouchable for half a decade. Dakota. I kept my voice neutral. Even as my heart hammered against my ribs, she moved closer, and I caught the scent of leather and sage, achingly familiar. Heard rumors you might show up. Didn't believe them. Figured you moved on to greener pastures. There was something underneath her casual tone of sharpness, maybe hurt. But that was impossible. She'd been the one who didn't care, who'd chosen glory over us. Turns out I missed the dirt and the danger, I said. Her eyes swept over me, assessing, and I felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with the physical. You look good. Different, but good. So do you. The air between us crackled with everything unsaid. Around us, people moved and talked, but we stood in our own bubble of tension and memory. 4 championships, I said finally. Congratulations. Her jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. You keeping tabs on me, Monroe? Hard not to when you're plastered all over every rodeo magazine in existence. A ghost of a smile crossed her lips. Jealous? Motivated. She laughed then, and the sound went through me like lightning. So you came back to take your crown back. That's what this is about. What else would it be about? Our eyes locked, and I saw the flash of something raw in her gaze before she shuttered it. Right, what else? She stepped back, creating distance. Well, welcome back to the circus, Cass. Hope you remember how to ride. Like I could ever forget. She turned to walk away, then paused. Just so you know, I'm not the same girl you knew 5 years ago. I don't lose. Not anymore, neither do I. She nodded once, sharp and final, then disappeared into the crowd. I released a breath I hadn't known I was holding. Riley appeared at my elbow. Well, that looked painful. Shut up and help me with thunder. The opening ceremony was pure spectacle, flags, fireworks, and enough American patriotism to make an eagle weep. I stood with the other barrel racers, my hand over my heart as the national anthem played. But my attention kept drifting to Dakota 3 rows ahead. She stood straight-backed and proud, her profile sharp against the arena lights. Other riders clustered around her, drawn to her success like moths to flame. She'd always had that magnetism, that natural leadership quality that made people want to follow her. That's Cassidy Monroe, I heard someone whisper behind me. Thought she quit. Maybe she ran out of money, another voice snickered. 4-time champ coming back is just sad. Like watching a boxer take one too many hits. I bit back a response. Let them underestimate me. I'd let my riding do the talking. After the ceremony, I returned to my trailer to prep thunder. The Mare was in peak condition, her coat gleaming, muscles defined and ready. I'd chosen her specifically for her temperament, calm under pressure but explosive when asked. Everything I needed for a champion barrel horse. Hey, you're Cassidy Monroe, right? I turned to find a young woman, maybe 23, with bright eyes and an eager smile. She wore the nervous energy of someone new to the professional circuit. That's me. I'm Jessica. This is my first Frontier Days. I just wanted to say I watched all your old runs on YouTube. You were incredible. Are incredible. I'm so excited you're back. Her genuine enthusiasm softened something in me. Thanks, Jessica. Good luck out there. Do you have any advice? I'm in the first flight tomorrow. I considered her question. Trust your horse. Everyone talks about the turns, the speed, but it all comes down to partnership. You and your horse have to be one mind, one body. The second you doubt each other, you lose time. She nodded eagerly, soaking it in. Thank you, really. As she walked away, I caught Dakota watching from across the way, an unreadable expression on her face. Our eyes met for a brief moment before she turned back to her own horse, a gorgeous buckskin gelding that moved like liquid gold. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay in my trailer's small bed, listening to the sounds of the rodeo grounds settling down, horses shifting, distant laughter, the occasional bark of a dog. Tomorrow was the first round, and my draw wasn't great. I'd be riding 14th out of 50, which meant waiting through hours of tension before my run, but that wasn't what kept me awake. I kept replaying that summer 5 years ago. The way Dakota and I had danced around each other for months, before finally colliding in a stolen moment behind the chutes in Amarillo. The electricity between us had been undeniable, overwhelming. We kept it secret the rodeo world wasn't always kind to women who loved women, and we both had sponsorships to protect. For 3 months, we'd existed in this beautiful, agonizing secret. Every stolen kiss behind horse trailers, every midnight conversation about our dreams, every careful distance we maintained in public. I'd been falling hard and fast, and I thought she felt the same, until I heard her. Dakota, what about you and Cassidy Monroe? You two seem pretty close lately. Cass? She's cool, but she's just a distraction, you know? I'm here for one thing, to be the best. Can't let anything get in the way of that, especially not complications. The reporter had left. Smart thinking. Keep your eye on the prize. I'd left before I could hear more. Left her, left the circuit, left everything. Now, in the darkness of my trailer, I wondered if I'd been too hasty. If I'd run instead of confronting her. But what would I have said? I love you, please love me back? That wasn't who I was. I had pride, even if it had cost me everything I wanted. My phone buzzed with a text from Riley. Stop overthinking. Get some sleep. Tomorrow you show them all who Cassidy Monroe is. I smiled despite myself and set the phone aside. He was right. Tomorrow I'd let my riding speak. The next morning dawned clear and hot, the kind of day where the sun felt personal in its intensity. I arrived at the arena early, walked the pattern, checked every inch of the setup. The barrels were regulation distance, the ground was good, a little deep but consistent. Thunder would handle it. The stands filled as morning stretched toward afternoon. By the time the barrel racing started, the energy was electric. This was Frontier Days, one of the richest rodeos in the country. The purse alone would change someone's life, but more than that, it was prestige. When here and you were somebody, I watched the first riders go. Some had clean runs, others knocked barrels or had refusals. Jessica, the young rider from yesterday, had a solid run, not winning time, but respectable. She grinned as she exited the arena, and I gave her a thumbs up. Dakota was drawn 10th. I watched her prep her buckskin, checking every strap, every buckle with the precision of someone who left nothing to chance. She swung into the saddle with fluid grace, and even from a distance, I could see the transformation. This was Dakota in her element, completely focused. Everything else falling away. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Next up, our reigning 4-time champion, Dakota Hayes on Gold Rush. The crowd roared. She'd built a following, people who came just to watch her run. She waited in the alley, horse dancing with controlled energy, then exploded into the arena. Perfect. There was no other word for it. Her approach to the first barrel was textbook deep, fast, collected at exactly the right moment. Approach to the first barrel was textbook deep, fast, collected at exactly the right moment. Gold Rush pivoted around it like the barrel was magnetic, then rocketed toward the second. Another flawless turn. The third barrel was where most riders lost time, the angle tricky, but Dakota made it look effortless. They crossed the timer at 13.42 seconds. The crowd went wild. It was the fastest time of the day by a significant margin, and there was a reason Dakota Hayes was the one to beat. I watched her exit the arena, saw the satisfaction on her face tempered by the hunger for more. She'd never be satisfied, I realized. There would always be another record to break, another championship to win. It was what made her great and what made her dangerous to love. Cassidy Monroe on Thunder, you're up in 2. The gate coordinator called. My heart kicked into high gear. I mounted Thunder, feeling her gather beneath me, every muscle coiled and ready. This was it. 5 years of wondering if I still had it, all coming down to the next 20 seconds. You got this, Riley said from beside the alley. Show her what she lost. I nodded, too focused for words. The rider before me finished, and then it was my turn. Ladies and gentlemen, making her return to professional rodeo after 5 years, 3-time national champion Cassidy Monroe. The announcer's introduction felt surreal. I'd been gone long enough that some in the crowd probably didn't remember me. But others cheered, recognizing my name. I took a breath. Then gave Thunder the signal. We exploded into the arena and everything else disappeared. There was only the thunder of hooves, the blur of barrels, the perfect synchronization of intention and action. First barrel hit the pocket, Thunder collected and turned, her powerful hindquarters driving us forward. Second barrel smooth, fast, no wasted motion. Third barrel, I felt Thunder slip slightly in the deep dirt, her back end sliding out just a fraction. I corrected instinctively, my weight shifting, my hands steady on the reins. She recovered in a heartbeat and we rocketed toward home. The timer read 13.89 as we crossed. Not bad. Not winning, but solidly in second place. More importantly, I'd proven I could still do this. The muscle memory was there, the partnership with Thunder was real. As I exited, adrenaline singing through my veins, I found Dakota watching from the fence. Our eyes met and I saw something flicker across her face, respect maybe, or concern that I was actually going to be competition. Nice run, she said as I rode past. Little slip on the third though. Still beat 48 other riders, I replied. A smile tugged at her lips. For now. The rest of the first round played out without anyone touching Dakota's time. I held second place, which put me in a good position for the next round. The top 20 riders would advance, and from there it got serious. That evening, several riders gathered at a local bar popular with rodeo folks. I hadn't planned on going, but Riley convinced me it would be good to socialize. Remind people I existed in this world. The bar was exactly what you'd expect: neon beer signs. Country music on the jukebox, peanut shells on the floor. I ordered a whiskey and found a corner booth, content to watch rather than participate. Monroe. Get over here. A group of barrel racers I vaguely remembered waved me over. I recognized a few faces: Sarah, who'd been second runner-up the year I won my last championship. and Megan, who'd always been friendly, I joined them reluctantly. And they peppered me with questions about where I'd been, why I'd left, what brought me back. I gave vague answers, deflecting with humor when I could. We all figured you and Dakota had some kind of falling out. Sarah said after a few drinks loosened her tongue. You two were always circling each other like wolves. Then you just disappeared. No falling out, I lied. Just needed a break. Well, she sure didn't slow down after you left. If anything, she got more intense. Like she had something to prove. Before I could respond, the bar's energy shifted. Dakota walked in, surrounded by her usual entourage sponsors, hangers-on, people who wanted proximity to success. She wore jeans and a fitted black shirt, her hair down for once, and she looked every inch the champion. Our eyes met across the crowded bar, and the noise seemed to fade. She said something to her group, then made her way toward our table. Ladies, she greeted, nodding to Sarah and Megan. Her gaze landed on me. Cassidy. Didn't expect to see you here. Could say the same. Can I buy you a drink? The table went silent. Everyone knew the history between us, even if they didn't know the details. Sarah's eyes were wide, watching this exchange like it was a championship run. I have one, thanks. Then can we talk? Outside? I should have said no. Should have stayed safe in this booth, surrounded by witnesses and whiskey. But something in her expression, vulnerable beneath the confidence, made me nod. We stepped out onto the bar's back patio, away from the crowd. The night air was cool, a relief after the stuffy interior. Dakota leaned against the railing, and for a moment neither of us spoke. You looked good today, she said finally. Thunder's a hell of a horse. Gold Rush too. You two have really dialed it in. 4 years of nothing but work. She turned to face me fully. Why'd you come back, Cass? And don't give me the line about proving you're still the best. I know you. There's more to it. My defenses rose automatically. Maybe I just missed the competition. Bullshit. Her voice was sharp now. You left without a word. One day you were here, the next you were gone. I deserved more than that. The audacity of it sparked my anger. You deserved more? That's rich, coming from you. What's that supposed to mean? It means I heard what you said. In Billings, to that reporter. About me being a distraction, about how you couldn't let anything get in the way of your championship dreams. Understanding dawned in her eyes, followed quickly by anger. You heard that? Every word, and you didn't think to talk to me about it? You just ran? What was there to talk about? You made your priorities pretty clear. Dakota laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're unbelievable. You know that? You heard one conversation taken completely out of context and made a decision that affected both our lives. Out of context? You said I was a distraction. I was lying. Her voice cracked on the words. That reporter was fishing, asking pointed questions about my personal life, making implications. I panicked and said what I thought I was supposed to say. What would protect both of us? I stared at her, my certainty wavering. What? She ran a hand through her hair, frustration evident in every line of her body. You think I wanted to hide what we had? Every time I had to pretend you were just another competitor, it killed me a little. But I was scared, Cass, scared of losing sponsors. Scared of the backlash, scared that if we went public, it would destroy everything we'd worked for. So you protected your career, I said. But the accusation had lost its bite. I tried to protect both of us. And I was wrong. She moved closer, and I could see the shine of unshed tears in her eyes. I was a coward. I should have told that reporter the truth, that you were the best thing that ever happened to me. And if sponsors had a problem with that, they could go to hell. My heart was pounding. Years of hurt and anger warring with the hope blooming in my chest. You never said anything like that when we were together. Because I was 27 and terrified and stupid. Because I'd spent my whole life being told that weakness gets you trampled. And loving you felt like the biggest weakness I could imagine. She was close enough now that I could see the gold flecks in her gray eyes. When you left, I thought I'd die. I threw myself into training because it was the only thing that didn't hurt. Won 4 championships trying to prove to myself that I made the right choice prioritizing rodeo over us. Did you? My voice was barely a whisper. Prove it? Not even close. Her hand reached up, hovering near my face, but not quite touching. Every time I crossed the finish line, every time they put a buckle around my waist, all I could think was that none of it mattered because you weren't there. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. But 5 years of hurt couldn't dissolve in one conversation. I don't know what you want me to say, Dakota. I want you to say that maybe I'm not too late. That maybe we could try again, do it right this time. And how would we do it right? You're still the champion with everything to lose. I'm still the woman who walked away instead of fighting. So we both make different choices. Her hand finally made contact, fingers gentle against my cheek. I go public, damn the consequences. You stay even when things get hard. The touch was electric, familiar, devastating. I closed my eyes against the flood of emotion. I'm not saying we figure it all out tonight, she continued. I'm just asking for a chance. Let me prove I'm not the same scared kid I was. I opened my eyes and found her watching me with an intensity that took my breath away. This was the real Dakota, stripped of champion bravado and public persona. This was the woman I'd fallen in love with in stolen moments and whispered confessions. One chance, I heard myself say. But Dakota, if you hurt me again, I won't come back. Not ever. Relief flooded her features. I won't. I swear I won't. She leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. But I didn't. Our lips met, and it was like coming home after a long exile. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, then deepened as 5 years of longing poured into it. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. I've missed you, she whispered. Every single day. I've missed you too. Even when I hated you, I missed you. We stood like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other in the cool night air. Before reality intruded in the form of voices from inside the bar, we should get back, I said reluctantly. People will talk. Let them talk. But she stepped back, giving me space. Though maybe we take this slow? I meant what I said about doing it right. I nodded, already missing her warmth. Slow, one day at a time. Starting tomorrow with the second round. May the best cowgirl win. Oh, she will. Dakota grinned, and the competitive spark between us reignited, but it felt different now. Not enemies competing, but partners pushing each other to be better. We returned to the bar separately. But throughout the rest of the night, I felt the weight of her gaze on me, and every time our eyes met, the promise of second chances hung between us like a lit fuse. The second round brought weather-dark clouds rolling in from the west, promising rain. The arena crew worked frantically to prepare for potentially muddy conditions, and riders checked and rechecked their equipment. I arrived early, wanting time alone with Thunder before the chaos began. The Mars sensed my distracted energy and nuzzled my shoulder, asking for focus. I know, girl. I need to get my head in the game. But all I could think about was last night. The kiss, Dakota's confession, the possibility of something I thought was dead and buried. I'd barely slept, my mind spinning through scenarios, hopes, fears. Cass, you good? Riley appeared, concern etched on his weathered face. Yeah, it's complicated. Dakota? I nodded. We talked last night. Really talked. And I don't know. She said things I've waited 5 years to hear, but I don't know if I can trust it. Riley was quiet for a moment, then said, You know what I learned from bull riding? Sometimes you have to let go and trust. Hold on too tight, you get thrown. Too loose, same result. It's all about finding that balance between control and faith. Since when did you become a philosopher? Since I watched my best friend spend 5 years being miserable because she was too scared to trust. The truth of it stung, but he was right. I'd been protecting myself, but protection had turned into a prison. The loudspeaker crackled to life. Riders were moving up the schedule due to weather. First rider in 15 minutes. The day's running order had me at 23rd, Dakota at 31st. Different enough that we wouldn't be directly comparing runs, but close enough that we both know where we stood. The first few riders had rough goes. The ground was getting heavy as moisture rolled in, making the turns slippery. Sarah knocked a barrel. Megan had a refusal at the second. Times were significantly slower than yesterday. Then came Jessica, the young rider. She entered the arena with determination, and from the first stride I could see something was wrong. Her horse was off, favoring his left front leg. She pulled him up before the first barrel, dismounting to check him. The crowd was silent as she examined the leg, then led him slowly from the arena. As she passed, I saw tears streaming down her face, not from physical pain, but from the heartbreak of knowing her frontier days was over. Dakota appeared beside me at the fence. That's rough. Her horse probably pulled something in warm-up. She's so young. This was her big shot. There'll be others. Dakota's voice was gentle. She's got time. Not like us old-timers. I snorted. Speak for yourself. I'm in my prime, then prove it. The challenge in her voice was familiar. Comfortable. My name was called sooner than expected. 2 riders had scratched due to the conditions. I mounted Thunder, feeling her tension. The Mare didn't like the heavy ground, but she trusted me. Easy, girl. We've got this. I entered the arena, and the world narrowed to barrels and dirt and the powerful animal beneath me. First barrel, Thunder approached hesitant, and I urged her forward with legs and voice. She committed, turned clean. Second barrel, better, she was finding her confidence. Third barrel, I felt her hesitate again, the ground pulling at her hoofs. But we powered through. 13.97 seconds. Not my best time, but given the conditions, solid. I'd take it. As I exited, I saw Dakota preparing for her run. Our eyes met, and she gave me a small nod of respect. Then her focus shifted entirely to Gold Rush and the task ahead. I watched her run from the competitor viewing area, and even knowing what was coming, it was breathtaking. She didn't just ride her horse. She became part of him. Every stride, every turn was fluid synchronization. Where other riders fought the heavy ground, Dakota adjusted seamlessly, finding the perfect balance of speed and control. 13.71 seconds. Still the time to beat, even in terrible conditions. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. After the round concluded, the standings showed Dakota in first. Me and third, a rider named Carmen Rodriguez, had squeezed into second with a 13.89. We were heading into the final round, and the top 5 were separated by less than half a second. That evening, instead of the bar, Dakota texted me, "Want to have dinner? Somewhere quiet, away from rodeo folks?" I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Yes. She picked me up in her truck, a newer model than the beat-up Ford she'd driven 5 years ago. Success evident in the upgrade. We drove in comfortable silence to a small Italian restaurant on the outskirts of town. The kind of place where checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles created intimate shadows. I used to come here when I needed to escape the circuit, she explained as we settled into a corner booth. Owner's name is Maria. She doesn't care about rodeo, doesn't ask questions. Just makes the best lasagna you've ever tasted. As if summoned, an older woman with kind eyes appeared. Dakota. And you brought a friend. This is Cassidy, Dakota said, and something in her tone made Maria's expression sharpen with interest. Ah, the Cassidy. I looked between them, surprised. Dakota had the grace to look embarrassed. You've talked about me? I asked after Maria left to get our drinks. I might have mentioned you. Once or twice. Every time I came here for the past 5 years. My heart did something complicated in my chest. What did you say? The truth. That I screwed up the best thing that ever happened to me. That I was too stupid to realize what I had until it was gone. That I won 4 championships but still felt like I'd lost everything that mattered. Dakota. I know we're taking this slow, she interrupted. And I'll respect that. But I need you to understand something. I'm all in. Whatever this is, whatever we're doing, I'm completely committed. No more hiding, no more half-truths, no more protecting my image at the expense of what's real. I reached across the table, taking her hand. Her fingers intertwined with mine immediately, and the rightness of it was undeniable. I'm scared, I admitted. Terrified, actually. Of getting hurt again, of this not working, of losing you a second time. I'm scared too. But I think we're worth the risk. We talked through dinner, really talked. The way we used to during those stolen summer nights. She told me about the loneliness of winning, how every championship felt hollow. I told her about the ranch, about the quiet years of healing, about the moment I decided to come back. What was it? She asked. What made you decide? I was training thunder, running barrels just for myself. And I realized I'd let what happened with us steal something I loved. I let heartbreak take rodeo away from me. I wanted it back, and now? Now I'm remembering why I loved it. Not just the competition, but the community, the lifestyle, the feeling of doing something I'm truly good at. You're more than good, Cass. You're exceptional. Always have been. The sincerity in her voice undid something in me. For 5 years, I armored myself against her, against this. But sitting across from her, her hand in mine, I felt those defenses crumbling. Come back to my hotel? She asked as we left the restaurant. Just to talk. I promised to be a perfect gentleman. I laughed. You're many things, Dakota Hayes, but a gentleman isn't one of them. Fair point. Come back anyway? We ended up on our hotel balcony, looking out at the city lights, shoulders touching as we leaned against the railing. She'd been true to her word, no pressure, no expectations, just presence. Tomorrow's the final round, she said quietly. Everything comes down to one run. Nervous? Always. But it's different this time. Before, it was just about winning. Now. She turned to look at me, and the vulnerability in her expression took my breath away. Now I care more about what happens after. Whether win or lose, I want to know you'll still be here. I'm not going anywhere. Not this time. She kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When we broke apart, she whispered, tomorrow we compete. We give it everything we have. But when the dust settles, regardless of who wins, we figure out what comes next, I finished. Together. Together, she agreed. The morning of the final round dawned clear and bright, yesterday's storms having washed the air clean. The arena grounds buzzed with energy. This was it, the culmination of 3 days of competition. I arrived at the arena to find a crowd already gathering. Frontier Days drew massive audiences for the finals, and the barrel racing was always a favorite event. I spotted signs in the stands, several for Dakota, but I was surprised to see a few with my name too. Apparently my comeback story had captured some attention. Thunder was in perfect form, bright-eyed and ready. I groomed her with meditative focus, trying to quiet my racing thoughts. This is what I'd come back for, one more shot at proving I belonged here. Cass, Riley jogged up, phone in hand. You need to see this. He showed me a social media post from Dakota's official account posted 30 minutes ago. It was a photo of us from 5 years ago, one I'd never seen before. We were standing by a fence at some rodeo, looking at each other and laughing. And the connection between us was visible even in a still image. The caption read, 5 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I let fear of judgment make me hide something beautiful. Today, I'm done hiding. Win or lose, I'm competing for the woman who made me believe in more than just championships. Cassidy Monroe, this one's for you. Hashtag love is love, #pride in rodeo. The post had already garnered thousands of likes and comments. I scrolled through them, expecting vitriol, but finding overwhelming support mixed with the usual internet negativity. She's coming out, Riley said unnecessarily. Very publicly. My hands were shaking. This was what I'd asked for her to stop hiding, to choose us over her image. But seeing it made real, understanding the risk she was taking, the potential sponsors she might lose, the conservative rodeo community she was challenging, I need to find her. I located Dakota by her trailer, surrounded by reporters with cameras and microphones. She looked calm despite the chaos, answering questions with steady confidence. Yes, Cassidy and I were involved 5 years ago. Yes, we're exploring rekindling that relationship. No, I don't think it will affect my performance. If anything, competing for something beyond myself makes me sharper. And to anyone who has a problem with who I love, I'd invite them to check my record and remember that I didn't win 4 consecutive championships by being distracted. A reporter pushed forward. What about your sponsors? We've reached out to Western Star Boots and they declined to comment. Then I guess we'll see what they're really made of, won't we? Next question. I caught her eye through the crowd and her entire expression softened. She excused herself, pushing through the reporters to reach me. You saw the post, she said. The whole world saw the post. Dakota, are you sure about this? You could lose everything. I already lost everything once when I lost you. I'm not making that mistake again. She took my hands, not caring who was watching. Besides, it's 2026. If rodeo can't handle a couple of women being in love, Then maybe it's time Rodeo evolved. You're incredible. You know that? I'm terrified. But I'm also sure. About this, about us, about standing up for what's right. Behind her, cameras flashed, capturing this moment. Tomorrow, we'd be on every sports news site, every rodeo blog. The conservative whispers were probably already starting. But looking at Dakota, seeing the determination and love in her eyes, I realized I didn't care. Let's go win a championship, I said. She grinned. Now you're talking. The final round format was simple, top 5 riders based on cumulative time, running in reverse order. 5th place would go first, working up to the leader Dakota going last. Carmen Rodriguez ran first, posting a clean 13.52, solid time that would be hard to beat. The crowd roared their approval. 4th place rider had a barrel tip, taking her out of contention immediately. Then it was my turn. 3rd place, everything to prove, and the weight of the world watching. I'd drawn the 10th position, which meant Thunder and I had time to warm up, but not so much that we'd cool down. Perfect, really. As I prepared to enter the arena, Dakota appeared beside me. Hey, she said quietly. Hey yourself. Whatever happens in there, I'm proud of you. For coming back, for taking this risk, for giving us another chance. You haven't won yet. I might beat you. Her smile was pure challenge. You're welcome to try. I leaned in quickly, pressing a kiss to her cheek. Good luck, Hayes. You too, Monroe. My name echoed across the arena. 3rd place rider with a cumulative time of 27.86. Making her historic return to professional rodeo, Cassidy Monroe on Thunder. The crowd's roar was deafening. I nudged Thunder forward, feeling her gather beneath me, all coiled power and controlled energy. Trust, I thought. Trust her, trust yourself. Trust the work you've put in. We exploded into the arena. First barrel, Thunder locked onto it like a missile. Her turn so tight I felt the barrel brush my boot. Perfect. 2nd barrel, she was in the zone now. Reading my every micro movement, responding before I even completed the cue. Beautiful. 3rd barrel, the tricky one. The one where championships were won or lost. I felt Thunder's slight hesitation. The ground's still soft from yesterday's rain, but I rode through it. Keeping her collected and powerful, we rocketed toward home. The timer flashed 13.41 seconds. The crowd erupted. Combined with my previous runs, I'd just taken the lead. My cumulative time of 27.27 would be incredibly difficult to beat as I exited. Adrenaline singing through every nerve, I saw Dakota's expression, pride mixed with fierce competitive fire. She'd have to run the race of her life to beat me. The 2nd place rider went next, posting a 13.67. Good, but not good enough. She finished in 2nd place overall. Then it was Dakota's turn. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath as she entered. After this morning's very public coming out, everyone was watching to see if the pressure would affect her performance. Final rider. Your 4-time defending champion with a cumulative time of 27.13, Dakota Hayes on Gold Rush. She would need a 13.13 or better to win. Possible, but barely. It would be the fastest time posted all weekend. I watched from the fence, my heart in my throat. Part of me wanted her to win because I loved her, wanted her to have this victory. But the competitor in me wanted to beat her, wanted to prove I could reclaim my crown. Dakota sat motionless for a moment, then I saw her take a deep breath. She looked up into the stands, and I followed her gaze to a section where several pride flags were waving. Someone had organized fast. Then she looked at me, our eyes locking across the distance. She smiled, not the confident champion smile, but something softer, more real. I smiled back. She turned Gold Rush toward the arena and became pure focus. The run was flawless. There's no other word for it. Every turn was inch perfect, every stride maximized, every second shaved through perfect execution. It was the kind of run that riders dream about. That happens maybe once in a career. Gold Rush crossed the timer. And I knew before the numbers flashed that she'd done it. 13.07 seconds. The arena exploded. Dakota Hayes had defended her championship for the 5th consecutive year, posting the fastest single run of the entire event. I felt the disappointment of losing, sharp and immediate. But underneath it was something else, awe at what I'd just witnessed, and pride that the woman I loved had just achieved something extraordinary. Dakota was mobbed immediately by press, sponsors, fans. I hung back, giving her the spotlight she'd earned. This was her moment, but then she was pushing through the crowd, looking for someone. When she spotted me, her face lit up. She ran to me and I met her halfway. You were incredible, I said, pulling her into a hug. That was the best run I've ever seen. You pushed me to it. If you hadn't posted that 13.41, I wouldn't have had to reach that deep. Always making excuses for winning, I teased. She pulled back to look at me. I mean it, Cass. Competing against you makes me better. It always has. So now what? You've got your 5th championship, your big coming out moment, the whole package. Now I want the thing that matters more than all of it. Her hand cupped my cheek. You, us, building something real, not hidden in shadows. Around us, cameras were still flashing. People were still watching. 5 years ago, this moment would have been impossible. Now it felt like the most natural thing in the world. I kissed her. There in front of God and everyone. And the crowd went wild when we broke apart, both grinning like idiots. She said, So Cassidy Monroe, what do you say? Want to travel the circuit with me? As partners in every sense of the word? Are you asking me to be your girlfriend, Dakota Hayes? I'm asking you to be my everything. I pretended to consider it. Will I get to share your trailer? Because mine is significantly smaller and older. You can have anything you want. Then yes. Yes to all of it. The aftermath of Frontier Days was a whirlwind. Dakota's coming out posts went viral, sparking conversations across social media about LGBTQ+ representation in rodeo. Some sponsors dropped her Western Star boots being the most high-profile, but others stepped up, and several progressive brands reached out wanting to partner with her. More importantly, the response from fellow competitors was overwhelmingly positive. Sure, there were a few cold shoulders and muttered comments, but far more riders came up to congratulate her, to thank her for her courage, to share their own stories of hiding who they were. Jessica, the young rider whose horse had been injured, sent Dakota a heartfelt message about how seeing her be open about her relationship had given her courage to come out to her own family. As for me, I settled into a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. Second place at Frontier Days was nothing to be ashamed of, and more importantly, I'd proven to myself that I could compete at this level. The break hadn't broken me. If anything, it had given me perspective. 2 weeks after Frontier Days, Dakota and I were in Pendleton, Oregon for the roundup. We'd driven up together in her truck, Thunder and Gold Rush sharing a trailer, and it felt like the beginning of something new. I've been thinking, Dakota said as we set up our temporary camp, about next season. Oh yeah? What if we did this differently? Not just traveling together, but training together. Really pushing each other, sharing techniques. Building each other up instead of seeing each other as just competition. Revolutionary concept barrel racers helping each other instead of hoarding secrets. She laughed. Right? But seriously, Cass, we make each other better. Imagine what we could accomplish if we actually worked together. I considered it. The idea of having Dakota as not just my partner in life but in training was appealing. We could share the costs of travel, training facilities, even hire a coach together. I like it, I said. But I still plan to beat you sometimes. I'd be disappointed if you didn't try. That evening we walked through the competitor area hand in hand, no longer hiding. The stares came as expected, but so did the supportive nods and the occasional about time from older cowboys, who'd apparently been waiting for Rodeo to catch up with the times. We ran into Sarah and Megan, who immediately pulled us aside. Okay, we need details, Megan demanded. Are you two actually back together? Is this serious? Are you moving in together? Yes, and we're discussing it, Dakota answered with a grin. I knew it, Sarah crowed. I told everyone 5 years ago that you two had something going on. The tension was too thick to be just competition. We weren't exactly subtle, I admitted. So what happens now? Dueling cowgirls in love, competing for the same prizes? That's some romance novel stuff right there. Now we prove that you can be in love and still compete at the highest level, Dakota said, squeezing my hand. That supporting each other doesn't mean holding each other back. Later that night, alone in Dakota's trailer, which had officially become our trailer, we lay tangled together in the small bed, talking in the dark. Are you happy? She asked quietly. Happier than I've been in 5 years, you? Terrified and exhilarated and so in love with you it sometimes makes it hard to breathe. I propped myself up on one elbow to look at her. You know this won't always be easy, right? There will be people who don't approve, sponsors who won't work with us, venues where we might face discrimination. I know. But I also know that hiding who I am, hiding who we are, was slowly killing something in me. I'd rather face the world honestly and deal with the consequences than win 100 championships feeling like a fraud. When did you get so wise? When I lost you the first time. Turns out heartbreak is a hell of a teacher. I kissed her softly. No more heartbreak. Not if I can help it. Promise? I promise to fight for us, even when it's hard. To communicate instead of running. To trust you, even when I'm scared. I promise the same. And I promise to love you exactly as your competitor, partner, the woman who challenges me to be better every single day. We sealed those promises with kisses that turned into more, and for a while, there was nothing but us, and the quiet sounds of the rodeo grounds settling down for the night. The rest of the season played out like a dream. Dakota and I traveled from rodeo to rodeo, competing fiercely during runs and supporting each other completely outside the arena. We fell into an easy rhythm. She was neater than me. I was better at navigation. She could cook breakfast. I made the better coffee at Caldwell Night Rodeo. I won first place while Dakota placed third. She took the loss with grace, genuinely celebrating my victory. At Cheyenne again for a different event, she won and I came in second. We were proving that our relationship didn't diminish either of our competitive edges. But the best moment came at the Indian National Finals Rodeo. We'd both qualified, and the competition was intense. The caliber of riding was exceptional, and by the final round, Dakota and I were tied for first place. It all came down to our last runs. I went first, posting a 13.44 solid but not spectacular. Dakota would need a 13.43 or better to win as she prepared for her run. I saw the conflict in her eyes. Part of her wanted to win. That competitor's instinct never fully turned off. But part of her wanted to let me have this, to give me the victory. I walked up to her before she entered the arena. Don't you dare, I said quietly. What? Don't even think about holding back. I don't want a victory you handed me. I want to beat you at your best, or I want you to beat me at mine. Anything else is an insult to both of us. Understanding and relief flooded her face. You're right. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just ride like you mean it. She did. Posted a 13.39, beating me by 0.05 of a second. The crowd went crazy, and as Dakota exited the arena, she rode straight to me, leaned down, and kissed me in front of everyone. That's how it's supposed to be, she said. Both of us giving everything made the best cowgirl win. This time that was you. Next time might be me. I'm counting on it. By the time we reached the national finals in December, Dakota and I had built something remarkable both in our relationship and in our careers. We'd become the story of the season, and while some of the attention was invasive and uncomfortable, most of it was positive. Young queer kids started showing up at rodeos with signs supporting us. Other LGBTQ competitors came out, citing Dakota's courage as inspiration. The conversation about inclusion in rodeo was shifting. Slowly but surely, the national finals were held in Las Vegas, and the energy was electric. This was the culmination of the entire season, where points were tallied and the year's champion would be crowned. Going into the finals, Dakota led the standings with me in third place. To win the overall championship, I would need a perfect performance, and for Dakota to stumble, unlikely given her consistency. We had one last quiet moment before the chaos began. Sitting on the balcony of our hotel room, looking out at the glittering Vegas lights. Whatever happens this week, Dakota said, I want you to know this has been the best season of my life. Not because of the wins, but because I got to share it with you. Even the parts where I beat you. Especially those parts. You keep me humble. She turned to face me fully. I've been thinking about the future. After rodeo, we can't do this forever. Already planning retirement? You're only 32. So are you. And I've been at this hard for a long time. I'm starting to think about what comes next. Maybe a training facility teaching the next generation. Maybe breeding and raising barrel horses. But whatever it is, I want to build it with you. The certainty in her voice, the vision of a future together, made my throat tight with emotion. I'd like that. The ranch in Montana would be perfect for something like that. Plenty of space, good facilities already in place. You'd move to Montana? I never really left. It's been home base this whole time. But yeah, I can see us there. Building something that lasts beyond our competing years. She pulled me close. And we sat like that as the sun set over Vegas. Making plans and dreaming dreams, the finals themselves were a blur of adrenaline and pressure. 10 rounds over 10 days, each one counting toward the overall championship. Dakota was flawless, winning 4 rounds outright and never placing below third. I had a solid showing, winning 2 rounds and consistently placing in the top 5. On the final night, with 1 round left, Dakota had clinched the overall championship, her 6th consecutive title. I'd secured 3rd place overall for the year, which was beyond my expectations for a comeback season, but the final round still mattered. Pride, prize money, and the chance to end the season on a high note were all on the line in the warm-up arena. Dakota rode up beside me. "One more run," she said. "One more run. I have a proposition." I raised an eyebrow. Should I be concerned? After tonight, let's take some time off. Real time off. Not just between rodeos, but actual vacation. Go somewhere with no horses, no arena dirt, no pressure. Just us. Dakota Hayes suggesting time away from rodeo? Who are you and what have you done with my girlfriend? She laughed, but there was something serious underneath it. I love this life, Cass, but I love you more. And I want to make sure we're building a relationship, not just a partnership. Where would we go? Anywhere you want. Beach, mountains, foreign country, road trip to nowhere. As long as it's together. Then yes. After tonight, we take a break. Recharge, reconnect, remember that we're more than just competitors. The final round was emotional for both of us. We rode with everything we had, pushing our horses and ourselves to the limit. When the dust settled, Dakota had won the round with a 13.21, the fastest time of the entire finals. I placed second with a 13.38 as we stood for the championship ceremony. Buckles being awarded and checks being distributed. Dakota pulled me onto the stage with her for her overall championship presentation. "This woman," she said into the microphone, gesturing to me, "is the reason I'm standing here. Not just because competing against her makes me better, but because loving her taught me that championships mean nothing if you have no one to share them with. Cassidy Monroe, thank you for taking a chance on me again. Thank you for pushing me, supporting me, and showing me what really matters." The crowd erupted, and I hid my face against her shoulder, overwhelmed by the public declaration and the love behind it. Later, in our hotel room, surrounded by buckles and trophies and the debris of a successful season, Dakota pulled out a small box. "I know we're taking things one day at a time," she said, suddenly nervous in a way I'd never seen her in the arena. "And I know we've only been officially together again for a few months. But Cass, I've loved you for 7 years. I've spent the last 5 of those years regretting that I didn't fight for you. I don't want to waste any more time." She opened the box to reveal a simple silver ring with a small diamond. "This isn't an engagement ring," she clarified quickly. "Or maybe it is, but with no timeline, no pressure. It's a promise ring. A promise that I'm in this for the long haul, but I choose you every day. That when we're both ready, whether that's next year or 5 years from now, I want to marry you." My hands were shaking as I took the ring, examining it in the light. It was perfect, understated, but beautiful, exactly my style. "You're sure?" I asked. "Because once you put that ring on my finger, there's no taking it back. You're stuck with me. I've never been more sure of anything." I held out my left hand, and she slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. "I love you, Dakota Hayes, and yes, someday when we're both ready, I'll marry you." She kissed me then, and it tasted like promises and forever. The Montana sunrise painted the mountains pink and gold as I stood in the arena, watching a student practice her barrel pattern. The facility Dakota and I had built together was finally complete indoor and outdoor arenas, 20-stall barn, training facilities, and a house we designed ourselves. Hayes Monroe Performance Horses had become one of the premier barrel racing training facilities in the country. We trained horses and riders, and every summer we hosted a special camp for LGBTQ+ youth interested in rodeo. How's she looking? Dakota asked, coming up beside me and handing me a coffee. I watched our student, a 17-year-old named Amy, who come to us as a nervous beginner and was now qualifying for national events, complete a clean pattern. She's ready for Fort Worth, I said. Maybe even finals if she keeps improving. You're a good coach. We're good coaches. She wouldn't have that mental game without your work with her. Dakota smiled, and the contentment in her expression mirrored what I felt. We'd both retired from professional competition the year after that championship season in Vegas. Dakota had gone out on top with 7 consecutive championships, and I'd secured 2 more top 5 finishes before deciding I was ready for the next chapter. Hey, you too. Riley called from the barn. He'd joined our operation as bar manager after one too many bull injuries convinced him to retire. We've got 3 new horses arriving this afternoon. Stalls ready? On it, Dakota called back. She squeezed my hand. I need to go check on Gold Rush. His arthritis is acting up again. Give that old man a carrot from me. She headed toward the barn, and I took a moment to appreciate the view, not the mountains. Though they were spectacular, but the life we'd built. The facility, the students, the horses, the community we'd created. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica, the young rider we'd met at Frontier Days years ago. She'd gone on to win her first championship last year and always checked in with us for advice, just qualified for Vegas. Can't wait to tell you both in person. See you next week? Next week, Dakota and I were heading to the national finals, not to compete, but as spectators and supporters of the riders we trained. 4 of our students had qualified, and watching them succeed brought a joy that rivaled anything I'd felt in my own competitive days. That evening, after the horses were fed and the students had gone home, Dakota and I sat on our porch with dinner and wine, watching the sun set over our land. Do you ever miss it? She asked. The competition, the crowds, the adrenaline? Sometimes, I admitted, but not enough to want it back. This is better. Building something that outlasts us, helping others achieve their dreams, having time to actually enjoy life instead of constantly chasing the next rodeo. We did good, didn't we? We did great. She reached across the table, taking my left hand where the promise ring still sat, joined now by a wedding band we'd exchanged 2 years ago in a small ceremony surrounded by friends and family. You know what I realized today? Dakota said. That reporter who asked me about you all those years ago, the one who made me panic and say stupid things, they actually did us a favor. How do you figure? If I'd been brave enough to tell the truth back then, we might have stayed together. But we also might have rushed things, let the pressure break us. Instead, we got to find our way back to each other, knowing exactly what we were choosing and why. I considered that. She might be right. The 5 years apart, as painful as they were, had given us both time to grow, to figure out who we were outside of competition and each other. So you're saying heartbreak was good for us? I'm saying a journey was necessary. All of it, the falling in love, the falling apart, the finding each other again. It made us who we are. I raised my wine glass. To the journey then, and to wherever it takes us next. She clinked her glass against mine. To us. To love. To second chances and new beginnings. As we sat there in the fading light, I thought about the young woman I'd been scared, heartbroken, convinced she'd never compete or love again. I wished I could tell her that it would all work out, that the pain would lead to something beautiful, that the best was yet to come, but maybe she had to walk through the fire to get here. Maybe we both did. Inside the house, our dog, a retired rodeo barrel racing dog named Buckle, barked, probably protesting his empty dinner bowl. Dakota laughed and stood. Duty calls. You want to watch that documentary about barrel racing history tonight? Only if we can make fun of our old runs. Deal? She leaned down and kissed me, soft and sweet and full of the quiet love that came from truly knowing someone. Then she headed inside and I sat for one more moment, savoring the peace. The circuit had tested me, broken me, and ultimately made me. But this life we built, this love we'd fought for, this future we were creating, this was worth every second of the journey. I returned to the circuit to prove I was still the best cowgirl. Instead, I'd found something better than any championship. I'd found home.